This is Tom Dillon, the Lifetime Liberal, and today is Wednesday, February 15th, 2017. The title of this rant is RussiaGate will play its way out. We need immediate attention to renewable energy. So we know that for the last 3 or 4 years, each year has been hotter than the year before, and each one of them have been the hottest ever on record, and we can date back thousands of years for all of this. So we know this is going on. And right now, we also know that while the shiny object is on RussiaGate, that the minority administration has said, and I do believe that it was Reince Priebus, is that they will not have any priorities whatsoever to do with dealing with global climate change at all in the minority administration. And of course, this is really a tactical and huge economic blunder on their part, because while they are doing that, the entire rest of the world is accelerating, and many U.S. manufacturers and other companies are accelerating to a future of not only increased renewables, but of, let's just say, the want to put all carbon-emitting energy sources to keep them in the ground forever. So the world is moving, and we're back here pretending it's not a big problem. Now, of course, China is taking the lead. Again, China is a huge pollution emitter. They're going to continue to be a huge pollution emitter, but they are making drastic changes to their economic manufacturing to get them on renewables at the fastest pace possible. They are accelerating towards that. Now, and they want to be the leader in terms of renewable, in terms of technology, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of all of this type of stuff. And where's the United States? We don't give a shit. All right. Europe is just very close behind in terms of their acceleration towards renewables. I think that one of the Scandinavian countries has said that within the next 20 years that their entire grid system in terms of utilities will be by renewables. They're accelerating towards that. I think it was last year, the year before, that in one day, Scotland, which has a huge wind energy system, grid, so to speak, were able to heat or cool all of their homes for an entire day by renewables, and they're going to keep going after that, just like every other European country. And in terms of manufacturing, do you remember when Rush Limbaugh was complaining about Al Gore in the 2000 election? He says, he wants to get rid of the internal combustion engine. It's been around for 100 years. It's going to be around for another 100. No, it's not. U.S. manufacturing and other car manufacturers are basically saying that possibly within 20 years, that all cars manufactured in the world will be powered by renewable energy and not turbine engines. Our gas turbine engines or the Mazda rotary engine, that was unconceivable 15 years ago when Rush was saying that, but it's very conceivable now. And if we're not going to get there, we're going to get very, very close to that. Now, there's the Dutch who really who really know their stuff here. They are already trying to gear up their energy grid system so that the train system, which is very extensive in the Netherlands, will be geared 100% by wind energy in the foreseeable future. They also have, I think it's like a kilometer of a roadway that has collectors underneath that people ride their bikes over, and the pressure of the bikes riding over creates some type of energy, and they can use that for other stuff. What is this good for? Well, if you could put that in the roadway system, then the cars going over it could produce additional energy. So you have cars that are using renewable energy going over a grid system, the roadway system, that's actually producing energy. And of course, I do believe that I think it's England, they're actually trying to do that, or they're actually trying to have a grid system where the cars are powered, or certain trucks are powered, just like the old trolley cars used to be powered, or used to be trolley by the electric above. I remember that from the late 50s and the early 60s, and when some of the large cities that they had that. And of course, there are going to be tremendous investment in R&D in this. There's going to be new how would you say, inventions that go along with all of this. And of course, the GOP, they're still whining about Solandra, which was an energy company, a solar company that went under. It had been given a grant, I think, of $500 million by the Obama administration. But let's be clear, overall, in terms of the return on the investment that the U.S. Energy Agency did in all of it, because they invest in all kinds of different things, because they want to accelerate our take going into the future. Not every one of them is going to succeed. So Solandra was one that didn't succeed, but the return on the investment by the U.S. Energy Agency was very, very good. I mean, if a U.S. manufacturer has a hit in 5 or 6 of the 10 things that they come out with, they're doing great. I mean, Apple is a big example that they have done very well in terms of almost all of the stuff that they've come out with. But, they have had some problems. The Lisa, I think, was one big one. Newton was another one. And their watch isn't doing that well. So, not every company comes out with a winner every single time. But the United States Department of Energy, they're accelerating their look into investing in these types of things and giving companies a startup to see which is going to work in the marketplace and which isn't. And all the Republicans want to cry about is we shouldn't be investing in it because of Solandra, which just happened to be one thing. Now, we also know right now that there are more jobs in the United States in the solar industry than in the coal industry. And of course, that's going to continue to accelerate, not only in terms of the manufacturing of the solar panels, but in terms of the installation of all of that on rooftops and businesses, in school systems, whatever. In fact, there was a thing just a year or two ago. I know nothing's really come of it, but could you imagine how quickly we could accelerate into energy independence if we took a tremendous infrastructure investment by the U.S. government, because the states and the local systems couldn't do it, of putting rooftop solar on almost all of the school systems throughout the United States. Because number one, they're often located in, let's just say, not often, but many in rural, a lot of them are in rural areas, and a lot of them don't have large buildings around them. So they could take advantage of rooftop solar. And if the United States would make that investment, that would go a long, long way. So we have a lot that we can do. And on top of all of that, we have also a tremendous increase in the battery storage capacity of a whole different host of battery storage devices. And of course, Tesla became famous because their cars could run on, or 200 miles or so without a charge. Utility companies are doing it. Home is doing that. So you can take rooftop solar, rooftop wind energy. You can convert that and then put that into battery storage that has a long lifespan, so that you can sit there and use it as you need it and not have to rely on the utility companies. But again, we have complete denial upon all of this from the minority administration right now and most Republicans in general. In fact, I just read the other day that Republicans from the Reagan administration, the first Poppy Bush administration, and maybe even the George Bush administration, and remember the George Bush administration, right when they came into office, when they were supposed to sign the Kyoto Accord in terms of trying to work towards more renewables and less carbon pollution, basically said this to the entire world. But even they are saying, we have to address the global climate change issue. We need to address that, And of course, we have in the States, let's just say, and this is an example in Arizona, in Florida, that net metering, where people who have rooftop solar are being taxed by the utility companies. We still have oil and gas tax breaks for the big companies. And California, who knows a little bit about pollution, is willing to go toe-to-toe with the minority administration that their pollution control or pollution emission laws will supersede that of the federal government, because they know that they have a long, long history of this in California. In fact, there's a very famous joke from Johnny Carson from the late 60s or early 70s. Remember, there was lead in the gasoline then, and LA sits on not a flat area, and then the mountains are behind it, and the air will stay stagnant for periods of time. And of course, they had a tremendous amount of pollution. And Carson was Karnak the Magnificent, and he put the little Swami hat on, and he'd predict everything. And his sidekick Ed McMahon, would laugh all the time. And they had their envelopes in a hermetically sealed mason jar from some accounting firm. And Karnak goes, UCLA, as in University of California, Los Angeles, right? And takes the letter, laughs, blows it open, pulls it out. What happens when the smog lifts from Los Angeles? UCLA. So they know, they have a long history of a lot of pollution in California. Jerry Brown and the state of California, which, by the way, if it was a separate country, would be the 6th largest country in the world. They're willing to fight the administration, the minority administration, tooth and nail on this whole thing. Man, I've been going along a long time. Let me quote it. So while RussiaGate is going on about all of this, we need that invisible backing in terms of renewables on this, and we need to do it right now. Not going to paraphrase somebody, but let's just say renewables now and renewables forever.